right. Welcome to the Battle Plan Marketing Podcast, episode number 166. Today we have part 6 of our series, reviewing the book, $1 Million Contracting by Mr. Kim Hopkins. Or is it a 4-decade long running your electrical services company? Without further ado, let's jump right back in. Kim?
Hello there.
30 years or 40 years, Kim?
45.
45. That's awesome, man. That is awesome.
Well, it's 1979, so whatever. What is that? Actually, it's
Almost 46. Yeah.
46, yeah.
Sweet. Beautiful. Man, time flies, huh?
Yes, it drags on until you notice that it flew.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. All right. We're still in the promotion section. I think we're going to still be in here most of today and cover some things that we didn't already. So websites. Well, let's start there. So let's talk about, and I love yours. So let's talk about the essential requirements of a website. Everybody, or most of the guys out there or shops out there have a website. I'm going to just pull a number out of my ass and say 80% of them are crap or worse. So what makes them good and what makes them effective and convert visitors into jobs? Kim?
Okay, well, I'll start by saying that later in the book, I have at least a couple chapters specifically about websites. But it doesn't matter where we talk about these things. So I'm just going to mention it. When we get to that part, if we get that far, whatever chapters those are, I'll just say, hey, go back to promotion chapter, whatever we're doing right now. But anyway, okay, with that understood, there's different kind of websites for different kind of contractors for different kinds of situations that would be considered that I would, I have an internet marketing company for contractors. So I would say that we build, like that we have a philosophy of how we build them for contractors. And the way we do it is we look at each one as a custom thing. So just in general terms, I can say, let's say you're just starting out. You don't have a lot of money and you're not even sure exactly where your business is headed. You just know that you're like a plumber. So you want to do plumbing, but you don't even know what maybe the best lucrative work is or what the kind of work in your area is the most popular or the most lucrative for your company. That may come later, but what you can do in the beginning is you can have what I'm calling a business card website. And the business card website, it pretty much just gives the basic information about your company. Often it's not one page. I don't recommend one page. People say business card website's one page, but I'm not. I don't mean that. I mean like 5 or 6 pages, but they're very simple to make. There's like an about us, and there's what my services are, and there's the basic welcome page, and maybe a couple other pages that have to do with things. That's enough to make Google aware that the website's there. And very important, if you have a local brick and mortar business that's plumbing, even if it's your own home, if you want to do that, you can, get on Google Maps is very critical.
Yes.
So you tie the map into the website in terms of the same exact information. You have a few photographs. That's like your basic, $500 website, something like that. Now, the deal is, whether it's a small website or a large one or a huge one, there's certain things that they have in common. And what you want to try to get across to your customers is you're honest, you're competent, you're a good communicator, and you can probably meet their time requirements. That last one usually is going to happen after they contact you, but you don't have to say we're super fast and we'll do it tomorrow, but you don't not say that. You don't give them any kind of exclusivity viewpoint that, like they're going to take too long because they must have millions of customers. Ironically, that'll like lose all your customers if they think that. So you don't want that. And the other thing is you don't want to make such a beautiful website that, I'll use my example as an electrician. If you go to my website, I have a 30-person company in LA. And we do like quality work, and we do some very nice lighting jobs, and we do apartment buildings, and we do everything. And I'll tell you what I don't put on the website. Not a single picture is like beautiful nightscape lights that like just look so gorgeous. And the reason I don't isn't because, I could say, well, I'll really impress people, and I will. They'll go, wow, these guys are so good, I can't afford them. That's what they're going to say. Like, you don't want that. You want simple. You want honest and competent, meet the scheduling requirements, and that's what you want. You don't want so amazing. You don't want amazing. You don't want amazing. At least maybe there's somebody out there, maybe a brain surgeon might have a website that talks about how amazing it is, but probably not. I don't think they need websites. So,
No. Yeah.
uh, but when it comes to the trades, you want honest and competent, friendly, and time requirement issues. That's really what you're trying to say. So every page you try to do that, and you keep it simple, but it's sort of like when people go to the supermarket, maybe they're not dressed so great. Okay. When they go into the office, they're dressed nicer, let's say. And that's the level of your website. It's like, what would you show? How do you dress in the office? That's how much you dress up your website. Not necessarily, you're not going to the high school prom, you're not going to get that dressed up. You're not going to a formal. You're going to just day to day, work a day quality is what you're looking for here in the look of the website.
Good
And
advice.
so that's my first. There's a business website that gets customers to call you. You're not trying to, show how great you are. You're trying to show how desirable you are to your customers. It's about them. Like, what is the experience they're going to have when they see your website? That you need to think about them, not about I'm trying to impress them, which I am, okay, but the way I impress them is to figure out what are they looking for? What's going to get them to say, "Oh, these guys are the ones I want to, call." That's what I'm trying to accomplish. Not by being dishonest, by the way. And that's a whole nother part of it. Like, let's just say that you're very, like I said, you design it for whoever you are. That's the website you should have. So it's possible you only do nightscaping, and you really do want to impress people, and the
Right.
people that you're trying to impress are multimillionaires in Beverly Hills. That's your target market. Well, okay, please go ahead and make a beautiful website with countless pictures and testimonials from like the Secretary of State or something. But but that's, find this hard to believe, but I've never had to build a website for one of my clients like that. But in theory, you could do that. Like, you just have to like, who's your target market? Who's your audience? That's who you build your website for.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and of course, you build it for yourself, in that you need it to work for you, in terms of like, if you're going to get a little fancier, and you can have, you can get AI involved a little bit. You can have, notes, or, chats, groups, and many other things can get complicated. And maybe you want that, and maybe you don't. That's where you start building it for yourself. And if you know that you're a single person and you're out there working all day long, then you know that you don't want to promise 24-hour service, call you within 2 minutes. You don't want to make promises you can't deliver on. You want to make them think you're very desirable, and then do slightly better than what they're expecting, even though they've already been impressed enough to contact you. So that they're pleasantly surprised, or pleasantly, their anticipations are created and fulfilled.
Yeah. Level with, what you plan to deliver.
They
I like
think,
that.
yeah, 100% of what they think is enough for them to call you, and then you give them like 105 or 110%. Like, oh, and they're also like, they joke around, or they're friendly, or depending on how you can communicate with your people,
Yeah.
or they care. They really care.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Whatever,
No,
whatever it is.
I
So those
like
are
it.
some of my thoughts.
I like it. Good stuff. I like the
Oh,
downplaying,
yeah. One other thing. Okay,
real
I'm sorry.
photos.
To move on. I That was the simple website, or that was the business card. The only difference is really when you get into a big website, which is
Mm.
starts at like, say, $1,500 to do stuff. You then pick, like, if you're ready as a contractor and let's say again you're a plumber, let's say you have 5 core services that you want to do. You don't mind doing, fixing a stop drain or something. That's great. But usually you're hoping for more when you get there or whatever. So maybe you specialize in water heaters, or maybe I'm not going to go through all the plumbing things, but let's say there's 5 things. You would have 5 separate pages, and everything about that page would be, let's just say, water heaters. It'd be everything about them. Water heaters you've already done, pictures of water heaters, and then articles, like a quick summation of what, and then did you know, and then water heater information, and then blah blah blah. And because later, when you're marketing and advertising, you want to send people specifically to that particular page. You don't just send people to your website, you send them to specific pages. Unless you have a business card website, then you just send them, of course, to the main. Or like if you put it on your truck or van, or like on Google, it might be good to, your company name is, of course, your neighbor or somebody's neighbor recommends well, they're not just going to call you. Oh, no. In fact, they say to the neighbor, no, you don't have to give me the phone number because I'll be looking them up.
Yep.
I'll be looking them up on the internet and I'll find out all about them before I call them.
Right.
So, but when you're advertising, you want to go to single pages that specifically are talking about that particular product that makes you an expert, and oh, this is just what I want, and this is just what they do. That's awesome. It gives you more chance of getting that work.
100%. That's probably the biggest mistake people make in Google Ads is home service companies is not, if you have a water heater ad, then send them to the water heater page. Unless, as you say, you're starting out, you've got your 5-page business card website. So I like that a lot. And yeah, so if you are running ads and you have service pages, point them to the service page, and your conversions will go way up. So I did like a few. I liked a lot of that, all of it. Downplay, meet them where they are, where you are. Um, I would say that there's a few simple but key things that need to be at the very top of your website. Of course, your phone number. Um, that should be a textable number nowadays, or you should have a web chat in the lower corner that is an SMS textable live chat widget, or an AI, like you said. Um, be super beautiful if you had your calendar, like click here to schedule, and they went right to your online calendar, which is synced with your CRM or your phone calendar, whatever calendar you're using on the back end. I can tell you conversions will go up 20 to 40% if you put a calendar on your website. I don't care how big or how small you are. Those numbers will hold true.
Yeah,
Make it
well,
easy.
I can't argue with that. That's a really good advice. And again, it depends on who you are. Like I would say a small company that isn't in the office very much could very much, who isn't that busy all the time, man, a calendar would, I'd say more than 40%, probably get
Oh, yeah.
plenty of business because of that calendar.
Yeah.
Like, I deliberately don't have a calendar on my website. And the reason is we're too busy. Like we could not deliver on the promises that the website made. And that's like such a key that the company must deliver on the promise that the
100%.
website makes, so it really does depend, customized. I think I might be an outlier though, like in terms of my company. We're just always busy,
No,
based,
that's good.
you know.
And I agree with that. But your calendar also, the calendar I speak of, needs to be synced with your CRM, or if you're not using a CRM, with your Google Calendar, Outlook Calendar. So yeah, you're not going to put a calendar on the website that has available dates that are and times that are not available. So if that's the case, don't put the calendar on your website. It'll do more harm than good. If it's synced with your CRM, absolutely put it on there if you want more business. I guarantee I have companies with 50 employees or, crushing it, doing 10 million plus. And when they put a calendar on their website, things got a lot better even.
Oh, I don't doubt it. Yeah. And I mean, I have 4 dispatchers to try to keep up with what we're
Right,
already doing. But if I could find more qualified electricians,
right.
I would do it. Then I'd need a little more, no more work.
Yeah. Well, you probably still didn't need it. You probably got enough call flow and all that, after 40 something years. But if you were in year 4, it'd be a different
Oh,
story. Yeah.
absolutely. Like I'm in a totally different, I don't want to make it sound easy neither.
Yeah, no, yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Oh, one other
Not
thing I was thinking about with the websites is when it comes to marketing, this is more of a marketing thing of your website. Uh, the general rule is this, like I'm in LA, my company, electrical company's in LA. So there's a couple people in LA, couple customers, like multiply that by millions. So the thing is, there's plenty of work. Now, there's also plenty of people with plenty of electricians to choose from, right? So the way we do it, or basically, here's how you market. You say 200 main electrical panel upgrade. That's like the search term that you want to like get your one of the search terms for that particular page of sub panel upgrades or something like that.
right.
And then you have 100 amp and you have whatever you have that like all these esoteric things that you put in on that page, different keywords and stuff that Google looks at. And this works. Like I basically, if someone in LA, all of LA, millions of, competition, I have a lot of keywords that show up even before like Yelp and stuff, like on the
Yeah,
first page, because
nice.
they're so long tail, they call it, with lots of the longer the sentence, you might say.
Right,
But okay, so if you were gonna pay for advertising, you will pay the least for that. You will pay the least because there's the least competition. Almost no one even thinks about this. You'd think after 30 years, people would have figured this out, but they don't generally figure this out, or they just don't think they're going to get that much work. And they're right. They're not going to get like every day.
right.
Someone's going to type in 100 amp single phase electrical panel by Zinsco or something. They're not going to type that in very often, but there's millions of people sooner or later somebody will. So if you can pick up all those keywords for very little money, you'll get those clicks and they'll go to that page again. Not, they'll go to the panel replacement page or the
I like
house rewire page or the smoke detector page or the EV car charger page. Like that's what I do. I have all these different pages. Now that's in LA, so it's the least effort to get found on Google, whether you're paying for it or you're just doing organic. It's always the least effort for the most like results. Like if somebody says, "Man, today I have to get an EV car charger fixed and I need an expert to do it and I need it today." And then they see EV car done today or something
right.
and they type it and there you are.
Boom.
What do you think the odds are they're not going to hire you? Like
Right,
you're clearly the most perfect example of who they should hire. So,
right,
okay, now on the other hand, if they type in the same thing and somehow your website comes up anyway, like they type in EV car charger installation on weekends or something. Okay, and they type it in, and what they get is, in my case, it was the front page, electric connection, we do everything or something. They're like, yeah, whatever,
right.
as opposed to we specialize in EV car chargers. Oh,
Mm,
well, that's okay. Now, this works in a big city. That's how you do it. Okay. No
yep,
matter who you are, how big your company or small it is, that's how you're going to get the most bang for the buck for sure. Whether it's sweat equity and to, get like programming and work hard to do organic stuff, or you just pay
right,
dollars, you'll get the most for the buck. Okay. However, now you're in a small town, like Idlewild, California. There's like, 2,000 residents or something like
nice.
that. You
Nice
want to do
town.
you want to do the exact opposite because I guarantee you nobody in Idlewild for like about 10 years is going to type in 200 amp service upgrade.
Right.
Nobody. Okay.
Nobody.
Like when
Good
there's
advice.
1,000 residents,
Very good.
that is literally 20,000 times less than Los Angeles. Okay.
Right.
So
Right.
the odds are 20,000 to 1 that okay, no, what you do is the opposite. What you do is you say, we do everything. And you just focus on one thing. On your front page, it has a list of all your services, because then you're trying to capture every possible job you can. And so some guy has a water heater replacement, or they have a leaky faucet, or they have a stop toilet, or they have a running, guess what? Like, they don't care. Like, there's only a couple people advertising anyway, or
Right.
so they go, oh, they're like in this town and they seem like they're honest and confident. I'm hiring these guys because it says we do everything.
Yeah.
And then I list the services. Oh, that is, yeah, running toilet. That's what I need.
Right.
And yet, as opposed to running toilets are us is pretty much what you have to do in LA to get the same.
Right. Right. Right.
So there.
Great advice. Great advice. Yeah. If you're in a small town, do not go crazy on the SEO and stuff. Don't build out pages. Yeah. Yeah. But if you're, so I got a question for you, Kim. Let's take that 100 amp service panel replacement to a 200 or whatever. Do you put that on your service panel upgrade page, or do you make a separate page, 100 amp, service panel upgrade? Or you just tuck
Well,
that in?
I think it's no. First of all, no panel smaller than 100 amps. So I we have something that's like 200 amp service upgrade, or you know, I don't.
400.
Frankly, I don't even know what I have in there anymore. But it convinces people that whatever size panel they have or need, we're gonna, in a
Yeah.
residential situation, we're gonna be there to do that.
I like it. I like it. Yeah, you could have a service panel, whatever those keywords is, upgrade, replacement. I'm not sure what that word is. But then, yeah, you could have, 200, 225, 400, whatever, all on the same page as heading twos, kind of thing. So
Yeah,
they're
because it's so similar that they're like even
right,
more impressed in a way. Oh, they do everything. They do
right,
every
right.
kind of panel upgrade. They clearly they do mine because they do all these other ones at the same time. You
I
know,
like
they,
it.
you just gotta like think, if I were looking at this page and I needed this service, what would be my go buttons? And,
Exactly.
and
In
you
the
build,
plumbing world, that would be water heaters, 40 gallon, 50 gallon, 60 gallon, whatever.
right.
So
And then maybe a little article about which one should you choose.
nice.
Then,
Yeah,
like, if you only have two people that live there, or if you need a tankless water heater, or should it be electric or should it be gas? We have every answer for you for any kind of. Let us call us. We do free over the phone consulting. You know,
perfect. Perfect. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Or have a sizer on your site down the road. But today you can use OpenAI chat, to create calculators and things like that.
which will only get better. Like, I'm
Yeah,
picturing someone listening to this, podcast like 5 years from now. They're like,
right?
"Duh, of course."
Yeah, exactly. They
Be like,
just speak to it, and then, well, we're speaking to it now.
I
That's good
remember
advice. I like that. So the
there
website, the
was a Star
phone,
Trek movie where these people, one of the first Star Trek movies, where they were on a bus somewhere and there was some jerk that was making loud noise with this one of these big radios, and Spock came along and did his little Vulcan thing, But I remember they were talking, like, really, like, trying to be quiet, and they were like trying to talk into their communicator because there weren't cell phones yet, and everyone started looking at them really weird, like they must be crazy.
right?
Like that.
Talking to their hand.
I'm picturing kids now watching that movie. They're like, "What? What's so funny?"
Exactly. Yeah, it's great.
So I'm sure that's the way AI is going to be.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Exponentially, advancing every single day. Unbelievable. Super exciting on the one hand, super crazy on the other, but whatever. All right, on the site. So I like that phone, text, chat, calendar. We were talking about, but as you brought up, like, and I used to say, like, answer the 5 questions, the biggest questions they have about whatever it is. So if it's a service page, a water heater, service panel, what are the, you can even go to AI and say, what are the 5 most common questions consumers, residential consumers have about buying a whatever or upgrading their service panel? But we already know price is one, right? So if you have flat rate pricing or free estimates or whatever, I would recommend putting that up near the top. You mentioned time, which is super, super important, right? When can you get to me, right? So maybe whatever, same day service available or something like that, or some words that indicate. If you can't hold up to that, don't put that on there, of course, like you said.
Oh, they'll get mad. Yeah, you don't
Oh,
want
Superman.
do
You
not
don't
do not promise things you can't deliver.
exactly. But try to put some kind of time thing in there. Fast service. I don't know how you would word that. Most of our clients are offer same day service.
Yeah, I don't because I can't always promise that, you
Can't
know?
always get there. Yeah. Available. Available was the key word. Not always there.
Talk
Team
about
photos?
Call
You
us
got
about our fast scheduling, you can do that.
mhm,
And
mhm.
you can say, "Yeah, I'm scheduling you right now for next week." Oh,
I like it. Fast
okay,
schedule.
but, like, really, it's just don't lie.
No, yeah.
Just don't lie.
But solve those problems because they have those questions, right?
Mhm,
How much is it gonna cost me? How quick can you get here? Can I rely on you? So I would say below the fold, the next thing down below the, front part of your website should be, icon trust badges, BBB, Yelp, Google, blah, blah, blah. And maybe right below that are actual, reviews or a summary of your reviews or something like that.
mhm.
I also liked your thing about, expanding on the service pages, right? So if you are in LA or a big city and it's going to be super competitive for every single keyword, so you do want to drill down to that service page, but then you can surround those service pages with, like you were indicating, frequently asked question, pay an individual page about an individual question if it's big enough. Right. So if there are 5 very common questions people ask about upgrading my service panel, make those 5 pages and then link them all together. So the service page and then out are all the other pages. They're all linked. They call them silos or topical silos, topical clusters, whatever. So when a customer gets to your site, they may have these questions and they'll hit your service page. Maybe they'll look and upgrade the panel and like, oh, I was wondering about that question too. And you answered it for them. And so they're never leaving. You answered all their questions. They're definitely booking with you.
Yeah, and, you can add everything you just said and make them blogs, and you
Make
could
them blogs. Yeah.
and then their blog, posts, as on top of everything else, their blog posts.
Yeah. 100. Actually, I meant that. I didn't say that. So yes, I'm glad you added that. So those should be blog posts and tied to the one service
Yeah,
page.
there you go.
Yeah.
Now the silo, yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good thing.
And hierarchy wise, I rarely see that either. I just had a client hire a SEO company. It came in and built like 12 pages, and I'm going to be as generic as possible. Uh, but this company just built them right off of the root domain,
Mhm.
so mycompany.com/, and then the service. Uh, so just Google for those out there about to build websites. Google website hierarchy and how to design your site. So it should be, mysite.com/services, and then all your services under the services page, right under the directory.
Yeah, and even maybe I mean, that's basically all I try. I try only 3 clicks to get anywhere on the
3
entire
clicks.
that
It's a great rule, actually. If you take more than 3 clicks to get there, they're probably not going to get there.
yeah, unless it's, fascinating or entertaining on the journey to get there, it can happen, but I
Yeah.
might have 4 clicks for something. I don't even know if I do, but,
Yeah.
could be.
Well, you're right. Or that page itself might be ranking. It might be one of your long tail keywords that is ranking by itself. But if you went into the site, you would have to really dig to find out where it goes, or to
Yeah,
find a way to it.
and there's another thing about websites. Now we're talking not your first day in business, okay?
Yeah, we're beyond that. Yeah.
But if you are really into it and you find something that's very lucrative, and I have a few of those, like, well, of course, I have pages. That's the first level. You make pages for those things. But then on that page, and I'll give you an example. In LA, It's a big deal, actually, all in California, probably around the country at this point. Like insurance companies are freaking out with the expenses. So they're sending out letters to every apartment building owner saying things like, you can't have certain panels anymore, Zinsco and Federal Pacific and whatever. So they have to be replaced, or we're going to raise your insurance 600%. And I mean, literally,
Yeah.
it was $100 and now it's 600. It was like, but it's more like $10,000. Now it's $60,000.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's happening. Okay, it's
Oh,
happening.
I got a letter from myself for
So
plumbing.
yeah, so you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So the thing is this: if you, so I got a page and it's all about panel replacements in apartment buildings, and I have a bunch of
Beautiful.
information about it. Okay, but then I have a video of like two things. I have video of testimonials of
Nice.
property management companies that think we're like the best company in the history of all mankind. So I've got a video that does that. Okay,
Beautiful.
with pretty looking people, but very legitimate looking, and they're totally
Real
they're
customers.
real customers.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, and then so I've got that. Okay, but on top of that, I've done a couple webinars with
Mm,
apartment association people, and man, I got a amazing amount of work within a day. Like all these people calling because I'm now the expert, on which I am. But still, there's other people out there, but I'm the go-to, and I think I look friendly and honest enough for them to want to call. And I really do care about people. We talk to them, and we've done a lot of work in the last few months based on that. And so
right.
I have the webinar now right there. Like if they can click on it and they can watch it.
Wow.
So my point is, oh,
Beautiful.
and then we have the luxury of sending out an email, let's say, to every property management company in LA,
Yeah.
and we can say, listen, we're here to help you, and there's ways to make these jobs less expensive, and we can show you how, and we're specialized in this. Like if you're interested, click on this link, and it goes to that page, right? And it,
Beautiful.
I, or even just cold calls where you can call and say,
Sure.
you're looking an electrician to property management. Well, who's the guy that's in charge? And then you can send it to them with a personal phone call, maybe. But the point is, if something's working for you really well and you're making a ton of money from it, that's where you focus your marketing efforts through the website. Even if it's a business card website, maybe you just have the first page is going to be on, in my case, it might have been property management companies,
Right.
and then it might have been a sub part of that would be replacing sub panels. So I'm just saying,
Love it.
you focus on where the money is coming from, and both your website efforts and your marketing efforts, don't not know where you're getting your business and your most profitable business from.
Yeah.
And by
Two.
the way, somewhere in my book, I have a thing about there's a little chart to figure out, even if you make more money from it, is it the most profitable thing?
Yep.
I have somewhere in this book, there's a chart
Yep.
about.
We'll get to that. Yep. Yep. Yeah, I like that a lot. A couple good points in there. Uh, crazy. Let's talk about, before I go there, so, let's talk about that insurance thing a little bit, actually. So, North Carolina, California, wherever there's been big natural disaster,
Yeah, Florida, I think, too.
Florida, thank you, and Texas, maybe, right? Um, well, if you're the contractor listening, that it's happening in your area. So insurance letters are going out in California. They're going out here for electrical because all the fires and they lost billions of dollars, and they're going to make up those billions of dollars on the rest of us. So,
Yeah.
as a homeowner, we got a letter saying, hey, we're raising your deductible from 500 to 6,000, and we're raising your deductible from this to that. And
We're no longer going to insure you because we're moving out of California. We're not going
yeah,
to insure
yeah,
anybody.
some of that.
That's actually a real thing here.
It is.
Yeah.
But the key I was getting to was the third point in our letter was, and you are going to install a water leak automation shutoff device. I'm missing the proper terminology of that. So mow and flow is one of them. So this gets hooked up to your main water line. And if it senses, and you'll train it with a phone app a little bit, but if it senses water flow for too long or too much, added the unusual, it will automatically shut off the water. Or you can shut it off. Like you're at the restaurant and you get a notice, hey, your water is running like crazy. You can shut off the main right there to try to mitigate the damage. So same for service panels. 100 amp panels are being given letters, got to upgrade to 225, whatever. So if you're in an area, um, you could create some web page about this. If like you've done, your example is perfect. Create a page and then do some cold calling and some warm outreach. Send an email to your and a text to your whole customer list saying, hey, insurance companies are doing this. If you've encountered it, click on here and go to our webpage all about it, kind of thing. So that I love that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty workable. Is
Staying
there
current.
really a thing, a plumbing thing like that, that they're demanding that every you have to put in this device? Is that something for?
Not just a device, but they also want there's little remote pads that you can you put on the floor next to your let's see, washing machine, your dishwasher, the sinks, and the toilets. So they want all those done also, and they want the washing machine hoses to be replaced by a plumber with steel braided hoses. So that's all on a list that we just received a couple of weeks ago. Um, and we have a few months to get it done. And that'll cost, and they'll give some rebates, maybe a total of $300 or so. But, the system and installing and all that, probably looking at, I don't know, 2-3 grand. So,
There you go. So if you become an expert, what I would, now I'm not a plumber, just my natural instincts would be, okay, well, there's insurance brokers out there that are going to,
oh,
hear
brilliant.
about this, and people are going to call. And I suspect if it can happen in one place, maybe it's for every unit of every apartment building. I mean, I don't know these things, but I do know that the trick with promotion is to spend the least on either effort or money on promotion and get the most back. So the way we do it is in this case, I'd go to management companies and insurance brokers, and basically I'd already have a page ready to go, just like I was talking about, and say,
Yeah.
we have an entire system where we handle it all. We know everything about it, and this is exactly what we do. And the things and you have pictures of each device that you have to install,
Oh,
and
brilliant.
you're just ready to go. You people, here's a beautiful thing. The people that have the most money have the least consideration about the money, and they
The
have much
cost.
more consideration about their time and their
Right.
effort.
Right.
So, like, we're often 10% more expensive than the same, like, I guess you call them comparable electricians that work for management companies. But certain management companies, they want to pay that 10% because we always answer the phone. We always tell them in advance what anything is that they didn't even ask us to do. We always do this. We always do that. We're like totally honest. We blah, blah,
Yep.
blah. And that is well worth the 10% because their time having to deal with each of their clients is takes them time. They want to, like, avoid effort. So we are the most efficient, so we provide the best value. That is what everything about your company should be.
Yes.
Value. It's always,
Value.
don't ever be lower value than another company. Okay.
Right.
That includes a blind handyman that you pay 1/10 as much for, but it either takes him a long time, or he does something wrong, or this happens or that happens. Like, the value of is what's important. And so, but value is in the eye of the beholder. So if you've got a husband and wife that just barely bought a new house and they can hardly afford to go out to Sambo's or Denny's or something once a month, their value is not money. Like, they don't want to pay a lot of money. They're
Right.
willing to invest some of their own time, or they want to look over your shoulder. But you don't want that person because you're not going to make very much money with them. Like, what you
Right.
want is the guy, like in Beverly Hills, that says whatever. Yeah, look, and I just bought a new Maserati, but it's an electric one, so I need like the fancy dancy charger. What do you charge? Oh, like 800 times five. Oh, I'd say about $4,500 for this. Is that the best you can do? Yeah, we never lower our prices. Oh, I like that. Okay, good for you.
Right, right.
Okay, when can you do it? That's what's important for them. When can you do it? And are you going to do a good job and not steal my wife's diamond ring on the way out the door? So,
Exactly.
well, when do you need it done by? Oh, blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah. It's always you're not negotiating, you're just finding out what's true and they like you and my point is
Value.
always do value, but
Yeah.
if you're going to go shopping for a husband, why go to a low income area? Why not go shop on Rodeo Drive for your husband?
That's what they do, right?
All things being equal, like value is better, higher with.
Can we do that? Can we go to Rodeo Drive and pick up
Oh, the last time I shopped for a
rich
husband,
sugar mama? Sugar mama?
sugar mama.
Sugar mama?
Yeah, you can do that with the quality of people for sure. You don't have to go with the dollar amount. You can always find, like, you can go to the lowest dive bar and look for women, let's say us, or we could perhaps go a little more upscale and find more upscale, probably more reliable people in church than in a brothel.
Just a little. Yeah, maybe. Maybe. Who knows?
Maybe,
I don't
yeah.
know about that for
One never
sure.
knows for sure.
I'm not certain.
Knows for sure. Yeah.
But that's brilliant. So we have a huge insurance thing going on, or whatever the thing might be, but a topic, and so you're creating info pages, and then you're going out for. I think we spoke about in our last one or the one before how you have really in the last 40 years focused on referral partners, which has just produced a gold mine for you, So like you said, I want to do the least amount of selling possible. How do I do that? You do it with quality and with information and referral partners.
Yeah. Well, what do you mean by referral partners?
Your insurance brokers, your
Oh,
property
yeah,
managers.
absolutely.
I love how you went right to that
Yeah,
with
and you can help
my
me.
insurance.
I have something like that. I'm just starting another little campaign about that because it was relatively new. It's going to be insurance brokers for apartment building replacement of sub panels. Okay. There's
Okay.
little ins and outs that if you know them, you can save your client a lot of money. So I've found
Mm.
three brokers that I think are pretty they got it going on pretty well. Okay. So I've written up all the different little things that they should know to argue with their insurance companies about this or that save their clients a lot of money, right? So they're like referring our company like mad because they know that we are going to help their clients, but there are clients out there that didn't come from them that are looking for a broker, and guess what? I
Oh,
have three places. I'll refer all three to them.
nice.
I say, well, this is a special thing. You can save a lot of money if you do this. Go talk to your insurance broker. Oh, you don't have one? Okay, here's three. Like any of those three are my special ones that I know they know all about this.
Beautiful.
So it's a two-way street. They get
Yeah,
business from me. I get business from them.
I like it. That's awesome, man. Love that. Love how the insurance thing went right to it too. The
Yeah, like it
service
may be that
upgrade.
you have to pay more on your own house, but like when you get mad that you're paying, 500% more than you used to, think about getting revenge on the world and say, "Oh yeah, well, I'm going to start getting huge amounts of work out of this." Like turn it into an opportunity.
Nice. I like it. And it is a gigantic opportunity,
It works for me. I'm not even going to talk about how much it's been very good. The,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. Because they're being aggressive out here in California. We're both in California here. He's in LA. I'm in between LA and San Diego.
mhm.
And yeah, insurance is all my, or not all my neighbors, the few neighbors that I've spoken to, all have gotten a similar letter. Or they have gotten one that just says, your premium is going to quadruple, and so is your deductible.
So I've got older clients sometimes that I've talked to and they say, "You know what? That's it. That's the final straw. I give up. I'm selling the building."
Yeah,
I'd say 1 out of 7 or 8
yeah,
buildings are getting sold or the owners are thinking of selling them. Well, guess what? And
Wow.
I don't think it's funny. I mean, it's just a real grim situation for these guys. But
Terrible.
there's an interesting thing. I immediately thought to myself, well, then there's a lot of buildings that are going to be in escrow. And guess what they're going to do? And I've told that to the people
Oh,
selling. I say, look,
wow.
you might as well just get this work done because in escrow, it's going to have to be done before you sell it, or they're going to demand that you
Yeah.
deduct X amount of dollars to someone to do it. So I'm giving you a bid now that is probably as good or better than you're going to get in an emergency situation
Right.
when it's an escrow. So just do it because then that'll make it a much more attractive building. All things being equal, they'll buy your building.
Yeah.
So again, that's just another way to take a bad thing and turn it into an opportunity.
That's fantastic. And now you can, target real estate brokers and stuff, commercial real estate brokers.
Yeah. Well, I'm literally starting a job. I think it's on Monday. We're just waiting for the permit. And I think it's going to happen on Monday. It's $149,000. Like it was in
Good.
escrow and they needed it done. It has to
Panel upgrades.
yeah, mostly sub panel replacements. Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
And
Yeah.
it's every day.
I hope everybody listened through this section right here because man, they should be heading for their the drawing board right now.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a gold mine. And again, it's a big chunk of the country, right? No, and I don't know what they're doing in North Carolina or Texas, but you can guarantee they're doing something because their insurance companies lost a fortune, and so they're on their way to make it up by the rest of us.
Yeah, I'm sure probably there's some way in all this crazy stuff that's going on, with the trade restrictions and whatever else is happening right now. Like somebody somewhere's figured out how to make money from that.
Oh, oh yeah, yes.
Well, I shouldn't. I don't want to be cynical, but I'm sure a lot of people have that are making the decisions but still,
Oh yeah.
you know,
The rich get richer, as they say.
as they say.
Wild swings. All right, Kim. I wanted to cover a lot more, but we went pretty deep in there. And man, I'll tell you what, if people stayed to the end, they were rewarded. You gave them gold, man. So thank you, sir. And I look forward to the next one. It's going to be a couple 3 weeks, but we'll dive into the next chapter finally.
Okay,
Any
sounds
parting words? I always assume everybody's listened to all these, by the way. So if they haven't, where do they find you? How do they reach you? How do you check out your website?
let's see. My company, electric company is called The Electric Connection or just electricconnection.com. The internet marketing company is called happycontractor.com. Uh,
Beautiful.
and, leave me a message if you just have a question. I'll be happy to, unless 10 million people call me at one time, I'll, probably give you guys a call, whoever it is. And
I
you
think you're
got
going to get some calls this
I can
time
help
around.
out. Yeah. I get
Yeah.
like one or two sometimes from these
Oh, nice,
clients.
nice. I got a feeling the people stayed along, man. You're going to get some calls here because that. Anyway, everybody who was listening, think about that. Jump on that, man. And thank you for your time and spend. The only thing we don't get any more of your time with us today, and hopefully you were richly rewarded. But I can't speak.
Richly rewarded.
Thank you, sir.
Hard to say.
It
Yeah.
is 3 times fast. Kim, thank you, sir. Audience, thank you. Everybody, create a great day.
Thank you, Mark.